Two big earthly fires.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Troy City Council meetings. We have public hearing, a finance meeting, and a special meeting this evening. I would first ask, is there anyone in the audience who has comments to make on the Spectrum franchise agreement? That public hearing is actually going to be rescheduled. It was not published in the newspaper, so it will be published in the newspaper, and we will meet again on August 8th to hear any comments on that agreement. The second public hearing that we were scheduled to have this evening was for 5:50. However, if it's okay with everyone, I think we could get started. We could call the public hearing to order, and I would ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Keel.
Present.
Councilmember Brosnan.
Here.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
Present.
Councilmember Vera.
Present.
Councilmember Soriento.
Here.
Councilmember Casey. Council President Steele.
Present.
All are present.
Council President, I move that the council resolve itself into a committee of the whole for the purpose of conducting a public hearing.
Clerk, will you please read the notice of publication?
The City Council of the City of Troy will hold two public hearings on July 25th, 2024 at 5:45 and 5:50 p.m. in the City Council Legislative Chamber, Troy City Hall, 433 River Street, 5th floor, Troy, New York, in connection with the following matters: the granting of a cable television franchise agreement held by Spectrum Northeast LLC and proposed local law number 3 repealing chapter 71 of the Troy City Code to be replaced by adoption of a new planning board ordinance pursuant to general city law.
The public hearing regarding the repeal of local law, the repeal of Article 71, local law number 3 for the year 2024 is now open. The rules of the chair are as follows. Pursuant to section 234 of the special rules of the Troy City Council, no one but a citizen or a taxpayer of the city or an attorney at law representing a citizen or taxpayer or group of citizens or taxpayers shall be allowed to speak, provided, however, that the president of the council may, in his or her discretion, allow other interested persons to speak. The person wishing to speak shall, upon being recognized by the chair, give his or her name and residence, and if an attorney, the names and addresses of every person whom he or she represents. All remarks shall be directed to the chair, and no colloquy between or among persons presented shall be permitted. No person shall extend his or her remarks beyond 5 minutes, but if the person represents several others, the chair may make reasonable and appropriate exceptions to this time limitation. The allowance of any rebuttal remarks shall be solely within the discretion of the chair. At this time, I would ask Sarah, would you please see if we have folks who have signed up? Janet, no.
Like.
There you go. Very well.
You can just hold it if it's easier for you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, she's put the battery. Just hold it.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. My name is Janet Knoll, and I'm glad to hear that the audio is working this time. I would like to draw attention to what appears to be a violation of open meeting laws for the last meeting, which relates to this issue of the proposed law. The New York State law governing open meetings states, and I quote, that the public business to be performed in an open and public manner, citizens of the state, not just the city, be fully aware of and able to observe the performance of public officials and attend and listen to the deliberations and decisions that go into the making of public policy. And I iterate here the key words: observe, attend, and listen. This includes the public body making all reasonable efforts to ensure that meetings are held in an appropriate facility, which can adequately accommodate members of the public who wish to attend such meetings. That's also a quote from the law. An advisory opinion from the state gives further specifics. Meetings should be held where there is adequate room for all to quote, attend, listen, and observe, which was definitely not the case for this room for the meetings that were held on the 11th of July. Even when this room is not overflowing, the seated public see all the council members or read their names. It's difficult to hear. That advisory also says that, quote, in the event that there is a contentious issue and indications of significant or substantial public interest, unquote, that the meeting should be held in a location to accommodate those interested in attending, such as a school or other facility larger than the meeting location. Given the public attendance and comment at the meeting 2 weeks ago, which was overflowing into the halls, the council certainly knew that tonight that the subject meeting, the subject matter of that meeting was contentious and should have scheduled a very limited input by you. The recommended remedies for failing to provide the adequate access to law demands are for the council to either, again, I quote, immediately reconvene at a more accommodating location or schedule a meeting for a larger event at a later date. Therefore, since reconvening the meeting was not done, I would argue that the council violated the open meeting laws on the 11th of July. That meeting also violated requirements, provisions that require broadcasting the meeting to the public and maintaining that record. The law requires, to the extent practical, that proceedings be streamlined in real time and then posted on the agency or authority's website. But major and recurring problems with the audio system at the meeting made it impossible for the many overflow attendees at the meeting and all of the remote attendees to hear and follow the meeting. The council was completely aware of this situation and chose to continue the meetings without being able or perhaps willing to remedy the situation. One remote attendee I know took this as evidence of the council's deliberate, quote, endeavor to limit and suppress public input and debate, unquote. He noted, for example, that in the faulty YouTube broadcast of the finance meeting, that the live chat replay included 23 comments from remote attendees with the defective audio. However, for the regular council meeting, the live chat reply was turned off completely. Whether it was broken and not fixable or turned off deliberately to avoid comments, I don't know. Of course, the posted recording was described as, quote, some moments of unintelligible speech among mostly silence and a variety of distorted sounds, unquote. In my own experience, watching recordings of council meetings, I've also been frustrated by unintelligible speech and also not who speaking. The council seems to make a routine of not identifying themselves before speaking, making it very difficult for at least some of the public in attendance, all remote attendees who often cannot see them or the meeting tape, to know who is saying what. It appears to me, that I'm now aware, that the meetings on July 11th violated the open meetings law regarding both the venue and the broadcasting of the meeting. Further, a complaint to that effect has been filed with the New York State Attorney. Therefore, the deliberation and decisions of the council of July 11th, which will be not held in this law and the fourth public hearing, would seem to be invalid, and all items on that agenda should be rescheduled for another meeting, including this hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. You, for the record, please state your residence.
Again, I don't believe that's required by law, but we can speak at a public hearing. I will say that I live currently in Waterford.
Jessica Bennett?
No, you're the. Okay. All right. Okay. Hello, is this okay?
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
sorry, I'm not a rock star here. Thank you for having this hearing and giving the public a meaningful opportunity to comment and listen. It is always appreciated. My name is Jessica Bennett. I live at 1009 Second Avenue in Lansingburg, next to a project which is really kind of spurring probably this whole meeting here today. In my remarks, I'd like to address that the administration hasn't offered evidence that the commission as a whole has systemically acted outside of their authority. We had a lot of wonderful, great comments by the commissioners themselves at the city council meeting 2 weeks ago, where they patiently debunked every complaint lodged against them. And we are so lucky to have a planning commission that is filled with people who are so dedicated to their profession that they have willingly agreed to what is essentially a volunteer position here, since this isn't being compensated with a lot of money. They're doing this out of the greatness of their heart for their city. And so it really feels, it really feels that this is a farce. This is a farce and this is a power grab by the administration. And I understand that this is what's been happening from administration to administration, planning board, the planning commission, back and forth, back and forth. But the administration already has the authority, should they have desired, to offer any sort of comment to the public, to the planning commissioners, to remove any commissioners. That is well within the administration's authority, should there have been actual problems. Also, a number of the commissioners' tenures will be up within the next year. So if this truly was a matter of each individual commissioner being derelict in their duties or not doing their job in the way they needed to, they would be cycling out and would be replaced by the administration. But I think the question is really, why now? Why now? I mean, and I know for a fact that developer Kevin Vandenberg emailed at least one city council member, if not more of you, saying the planning commission has got to go. Because for 4 years, the public has shown up time and time again to express their utter disgust unanimously. And we all know Troy as a city cannot agree on anything. And yet we have agreed as a citizenship that we are against the proposed development at 1011 2nd Avenue. And so starting with the developer texting at least one city councilor saying the planning commission has got to go, now we have this resolution in place. If it were truly about removing the planning commissioners, the administration has plenty of time to, with rolling tenures being up, as well as the authority to just remove individuals. But that's not what this is about. And so we have a room full of people here, again, showing up. And what we're doing is really, we're disempowering the democratic procedure of government here by saying, you know what, I'm just going to bend the rules and I'm going to do whatever I want, because if it were truly about these complaints from the beginning, then we could deal with them with the procedures that are already in place. And so here's what I would like the city council to consider adopting, is that even though currently the mayor has the power to appoint each new planning board or planning commissioner, depending on which one we're going through, each administration, I would like you to adopt a procedure where the city council actually now has to vote on every single new, in this case planning board member, but in the future will be planning commission member, in a very democratic way, so that there is a check and balance, so there is oversight. Because right now, this isn't a good look for the city. And speaking to opening up Article 78, a situation like this could easily bring one up, and that's not a great threat. It shouldn't be the threat that makes you make a decision, because it is part of the democratic process. There are checks and balances inherent to there being an Article 78 procedure in New York State. So why don't we consider this? An administration can offer, just like we do Commissioner of Deeds, these potential new planning board members. But how about the planning commission, or excuse me, how about the city council gets to vote on it? So there is meaningful participation in the process, and it's not a clear power grab. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. James Mager.
I won't be as passionate. Hi, I'm James Mager. I live at 2287 Fifth Ave. I'm a local business owner and property owner. I would like to address the council to let everyone know my experience with the planning board, planning commission. I've been in front of it numerous times, and my takeaway from it is I'm speaking from my process has been delayed in the development. I own a building at 625 River Street. I just needed a simple site plan to review. Code approved all my drawings. It went to planning commission for final approval. And it was suggested upon me that I put a sidewalk from the city sidewalk to the entrance door of one of my storefronts. Now, there's no green space in front of property. It's all hardscape. It's a paved parking. I suggested, what about if we stripe it? So we designate a walkway. They wanted a sidewalk. Clearly, that's not in any zoning or code law anywhere in the city of Troy. That's one instance. At 50 King Street, I proposed to open a tattoo shop for a gentleman that works for me. It was suggested to me, it was first asked upon me, what was I going to do to the outside of the building? My simple answer was, I'm not going to do anything to the outside of the building because I don't own the building. I don't need to do anything to the building to open a business as long as I meet the code requirements to get a CO. It was asked to me if I would change the outside color of the building. Again, that I can't do that to someone. We got the permit and CO to open the business. I did a development at 2435 and 2439 Fifth Avenue, which were two properties bought from the city of Troy foreclosure list. They were scheduled to be demoed by the city. I bought them prior to demolition and completely got rehab both of them. Sold them to owner-occupied people. In review for that project, it was told to me that they did not like the fact that I was using corrugated metal siding, which is what my architect engineer decided for the facade. Again, we suggested that because there's nothing that clearly states in zoning or code or planning that we cannot use such material. At the end of my block, the corner of 5th and Federal Street, BDC Corporation has proposed King's Landing 2. Everyone in this room knows about that project. It's been held up for multiple years. And I went to many of the public meetings on it when they were held at Bethel Baptist Church. And I finally threw in the towel and I could not go anymore because the asks of, we don't like the color of the building. We don't like the size of the building. We don't like, it's too tall, it's too wide. We don't like commercial on Federal Street. That is clearly not what the planning commission is there for. Planning commission is there for what does zoning say? Does the proposal fall inside those guidelines? Not color, not size. It met the unit requirements. I met with the developer last week. They proposed 62 units, which the zoning says they are allowed up to 70 units. They were told they can only do 52 units. We are going to scare developers away. We are going to scare people that want to make our city better. We are going to lessen our tax base. We have momentum in the city. Projects cannot be held up. Projects that want to be rammed through, those projects need to be stopped. But developers, small property owners like myself that just want to take blighted properties and get them back on the tax roll and get good people in them and better our neighborhoods. I simply just ask whether it's this planning commission, another planning commission, you can call it whatever you want. You got to follow zoning. We just recreated our zoning. It's plain and simple. I'm not an architect or engineer, but color, height, color is not in it. Height, we give height story requirements. We give unit requirements. It's not up to the discretion of anyone on the board, no matter what their profession is. So I just simply ask that we think about this, take in my personal experience. I'm not someone in the neighborhood that has not gone through the frustration. And I understand there's been frustration with planning commissions way before I got involved. This one I have had trouble with, and it has been no ask to have my engineer change something to meet any zoning or code requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
President Steele, can we ask questions?
No, this is a
Okay.
public forum. I would note there are empty seats up front for anyone who's standing in the back. Feel free to come forward. I would also mention for those who've just come in, there is a sign-in sheet. If you're interested in speaking, we are in the middle of the public forum on the local law repealing the public hearing, repealing the planning commission. Our next sign speaker is Monica Willett.
Good afternoon. Hi, the project I'm going to speak about is the large-scale project.
Could you hold it right? Thank
The
you.
larger scale project that's happening, that's proposed for Lansingburg. I have to say that I have to underscore Ms. Bennett's proposal, that I'd like to see that brought before the council and not just being passed over, because this is very important, folks. This is a large scale project, and from what I understand, there's public record that Mr. Vandenberg sent texts requesting the board to be changed. Now, what does that sound like to you? I guess one of you here, think about that. What kind of a government do we lead? Where's the transparency? I used to work for the controller's office. I understand what it's about. Okay, so that's the political and the legal part of this whole mess. It affects thousands of lives. The last speaker spoke, and I understand he's a smaller businessman, but this affects thousands of lives. People across the river, in the narrow part of the river, which it is. That project is going on. Did you know that somebody was talking across the river and you could hear it 5 times more than you would be if you were close to them? Over the water than the air is what I'm trying to say. And that's just the noise. We see eagles fly all the time. There's trees, beautiful trees there. And this is a large scale, 1,000 people are affected, are possibly staying in that. And then there's multiple thousands of people affected. Now, the one thing I really want to zero to is the traffic. I'm using this as an opportunity because I wasn't available before. Now, the traffic that comes across the bridge, that traffic is clogging our streets in Broad Street, on First Street, and Lansingburg. And there's one little Hannaford building there that has food for many, many people. Has the infrastructure been considered? Has there been a traffic study? Because this is going to rear its ugly head. Now, when Mr. Vandenberg, when he requested this, okay, in an email or a text or something, was it an email or a text? It was a FOIL request. When he said that, what was he thinking? That's all I have to say. Let's make sure I have all my notes covered. Oh yeah, the buildings have 5 levels. Now, it takes steady progress of a planning board to look over everything, because that causes so much trouble. I mean, you have property management. No, in that study, there's nothing that says anything about property management. Who are they going to be there? Are they going to take care of it? So this is why I'm speaking like this, because these are the important issues that do take time, and they're not nitpicky. They take time. The board needs to look at these things. And Mr. Vandenberg asked the board to ask the mayor to change the board. And that's what I'm understanding. That's wrong. Just wrong, many levels. So I strongly suggest you look at Ms. Bennett's proposal and we stop this monster while we can.
Monica, could you please share your place of residence?
It's First Street in Waterford, right over the bridge in the narrow part.
Thank you.
Thank you for visiting our city.
You're welcome. Yeah, people might want to.
Peggy Konek?
Good afternoon. I'm Peggy Konek, and I live on 8th Avenue in Luxembourg. I'm going to take 3 guesses from Mr. Vandenberg email. And I bet I'm right. I could look at any one of you. I'm pretty much guessing I know. I bought my home on 8th Avenue after being a renter on 2nd Avenue for a little over 6 years. I know what 2nd Avenue is like. I work in Cajones. I can only run through bridge. Seem to recall at some point, we had a discussion about selling the Leonard Hospital property and building condominiums and affordable housing. Use so many people in our district. Instead of council members, changed their vote. And even most of those citizens left for residents. And that was a public meeting. It was held at the River Wars and World Cup, which had more states than this council meeting does. In fact, this is the first public meeting that I have attended. Council meetings since the 1990s. And that council meeting, the budget had to be approved. And the 20% increase in taxes had to be approved. So I've been at this a long time. I know my history because I've lived this history. And everything the previous individuals have before, including Mr. Miller, is true. I'm sorry. You know, it does matter. Because I don't want a pink house across the street from me. Or it does matter. Size does matter. What a place looks like does matter. And having professionals make that decision does matter. Now, I know this is a political point. I've seen it over and over again. Repeatedly. it after Mark left. I watched it after Harry left. Watched it after you left. I'm watching it now. What I will tell you is what I do is Robert Ortis, who happened to be, if I remember correctly, Harry Turgeon's planning commissioner, offered his resignation, understanding that Mary Russell would probably run his own show. His class. What you people are doing right now shows you don't have it. It's simple. Son would say, it is both quick, plain and simple. Mr. Vandenberg, for those of you who haven't lived in Troy all your lives, is a foreign this happens to be a long time study of many members of the current administration. Anyone in this city who believes this is not purely a play and the anxious innings foolish. Haven't lived here long enough. Go through so many administrations. This is like our professional staff. That if in fact they weren't doing what they needed to, being that there was staggered release, it can be replaced by the current administration as soon as those terms expire. All of which will expire in the whole term. No. It has to happen for it. And her puppets are going to do exactly what you want. I think there's two people in this room that have to vote in the case of more times than I. And it took them more times to get on it. Guess what, folks? White ladies awake again. I did that after my husband passed away in 2018 on our wedding anniversary, the day after the Uncle Sam. I was the chairperson for